Kentucky is getting ready to play Bucknell. This is the final tune-up game before the Duke Blue Devils. We're going to preview this game and talk about how the rest of the SEC looked in their first game. That's going to be the conversation on today's episode of the Wildcats Today Podcast. I'm your host, Andrew Stefaniak, writer and editor over at Kentucky Wildcats on SI, joined by my co-host, Carson Nash. Carson, it's Thursday. It's almost the weekend. We got basketball. We're fired up. How are you feeling?
Feeling good. I've been having a good day so far. I've heard you've been on the phone for a while with some car people, so you might not be in the best.
I bought a new
mood
car, and it's not been my favorite day. Not been a fun day, but that's okay. That's okay. Life moves on. The world.
Hey, it's Friday tomorrow. You know
that is true. Better. It is Friday tomorrow. But I mean, when it comes to Bucknell, Carson, they start their season off beating Delaware 85-73. That was on the 4th. Now tonight they play Southern Indiana, a game they're favored by 2.5 points on the road, unless it's a neutral site, but I assume it's on the road. Let's make sure it's on the road. Screaming Eagles Arena, that has Southern Indiana's home court written all over it.
What a name.
Yeah, seriously. And then the Cats play, of course, at 4 o'clock on Saturday. So, Carson, from that Bucknell game, I mean, what are your thoughts on this team and for this game?
Well, it does look like they have some shooting for sure. They shot 10 of 19 from 3. So it looks like any Bucknell team that I've seen in the past, they can definitely shoot the ball at every position. Their leading scorer, Noah Williamson, he's their big guy. He's 7 feet tall. Even he went 1 for 1 from 3. So you're not going to be able to leave any of them at any point because they can shoot it with the best of them. They at 52% on 19 threes, and it looked like a pretty easy win against Delaware.
Yeah,
for Bucknell.
If you go look at the box score on ESPN, it lists 4 starters for Bucknell.
Yeah, I know.
Did you see that?
Yeah.
What in the world? Yeah, they have 4 starters listed. I assume, that's just really weird. But 3 starters scored 15 plus points. You had 19, 18, and 18. Williamson is a player. He's a 7-footer. No joking around here. Last year, he played 27 minutes a game and averaged about, where's points? Why is points not here? Oh, here it is. He averaged 12.3 points per game last season. So he's serious. He's a good player. He's a good player, a 7-footer. He's from Latvia. And like you said, Carson, I think what you said to me before we started recording, I think this is just a good test for Amari Williams. I think it's just an upgrade at big man. And getting ready to play, Duke, you want your team to be tested as much as possible. So I think that's I'm happy about that. I don't think the Cats are going to have a ton of issues in this game. I think this game should be looked at more once again as a tune-up, and so I think I like that you're going against a competitive center. Now they did turn the ball over 16 times against Delaware, so that tells me that Ortega and Lamont are going to be feasting when it comes to getting steals and ripping the ball away.
Yeah, that's if you're Bucknell, that's a big red flag coming into Rupp Arena, right? Yeah. I mean, because we've talked about how much of a difference those two make on the defensive side of the ball. So if you're going to have any chance at a Rupp Arena upset, if you're Bucknell, you can't turn the ball over. And if you're turning it over 16 times against Delaware, all I have to say is uh-oh.
Yeah. I mean, that I agree with you. That's that'll be something. But, I mean, interestingly enough, this is Williamson, he had 12 boards in this game. So he's a good player. And, I mean, you got a couple guys here. Basco is the guy's name, number 13. He was 4 for 4 from deep. Mm-hmm. You had, of the 2 of 3, 2 of 2, 1 of 1, 4 of 4.
He's their senior guard. He looks like their primary scorer. He also is the only one that played over 30 minutes on their team. He had 34 minutes.
Yeah.
So I think he's a guy that they'll draw plays for. He's their main guy.
But to me, Carson, I'll be honest with you. I'll tell you my honest thoughts on this. The goal for this game then need to be 2 things. First of all, you can't this needs to be a lesson. And Coach Pope's made it very clear. He's done a good job of this. He talked about it in his press conference today. His team is not going to say, oh, we play Duke on Tuesday. They're not looking at it that way. And that stuff's going to matter. I mean, if you look at Kentucky's schedule, like it makes me look to that, to the Arkansas game, right? The Arkansas game's the first game of March. Man, yeah, that is a rough stretch. I was getting ready to see if we played like a bad team before that game, but they play Auburn, and then Arkansas. Is not a fun 2 games. But I mean, point is, you often are going to see, or wait a minute, I'm wrong about that. Yeah, wait, well, I just messed up because February 1st is that game.
Yeah.
Oh, point still stands because you play Tennessee on the road before Arkansas. So there's going to be, I just kind of wanted to make the point of like, you're going to play big games this year and you can't look past these games to the big games. Maybe you could make the point of once again, like, this is a great example. Bucknell, then you get ready to play them, or playing Colgate, the toothpaste before Louisville. You don't want to be looking, too forward to your rivalry game. Point is, there's not a ton of opportunities for that on the schedule, which is a little scary because that means that we have a lot of tough games.
Big games, yeah.
But point is, you never want to look past an opponent. You never want to overlook anybody. It's just bad principle. It leads to losses. It makes you look silly. And I've been really impressed with how Coach Pope has handled that and the way that he's talked to his team. I told you, Carson, at his press conference, like right before the before the Big Blue Madness, they were like, Coach, the Duke game's coming up. And he goes, well, the first thing is the blue-white game. Then is Kentucky Wesleyan. Then is Minnesota State. Then is Wright State. Then is Bucknell. He is not – he said, yeah, it's a big game, but they're all big games. They're going to take this one at a time, and that's the way you need to approach it. And that's important. So while I do think this needs to be a tune-up, you do need to look at this as a what can we fix before we play Duke. I think at the same time, you got to say we got to beat Bucknell. I think us fans can look at it like that. What do we want them to fix before they play Duke? But at the same time, I think that's the way we got to look at it.
Yeah, and going along the terms of Duke, right? Duke is a big team. They got a lot of size. So having a matchup with Noah Williamson first is good for Amari Williams and some of the bigger guys, and Brandon Garrison, to get used to that size that Duke will have, because we haven't seen that yet so far. It'll be interesting to see how they fare against them, and I think they'll be fine. But along the lines with Pope not overlooking anybody, I think that's because Pope has too much respect for this team, too much respect for the other team, and I think that's awesome because if you see in the past, we've been burned, right? Yeah. And UNC Wilmington last year, right? You got Evansville, you can name a bunch of them. But when you overlook these teams and lose, you drop 2 seed lines. Like these are games that will kill you come seeding, and you need to have a perfect record against teams that aren't.
Yeah, you'd rather lose to a Florida, a Tennessee, an Auburn than you would a Bucknell when it comes to seeding. I mean, that's just the reality. Those, the rankings in the, I always forget everybody. It's the net, right? Net is the one where there's like levels. Then you want to, in that first tier, those games are okay to lose. You don't want to lose any games. I would rather win every single game this season, but that's not going to happen. But you cannot lose quad. That's what the quad.
Quad 4.
You cannot lose quad 4 games. You can't do it. You can't lose those games.
Because they keep you off the seed. Like you cannot get to a 1 seed if you lose a quad 4 game. Yeah. Like there's no possible way.
Yeah. Oh no, there's no question. So that's the way I look at this game. We're going to talk a little bit about the SEC, like we said, and what we saw from the first game. But Carson, give me a score prediction and a player of the game for Bucknell.
I'm going to say I think we continue the trend. I think we get over 100 points. And with their amount of turnovers and sloppy play, I think I'm going to go Kentucky 107 to Bucknell 62.
Okay. I think we win this game 89-57. Who's your player of the game?
I think my player of the game is going to be Jackson Robinson. I think he has a big game on Saturday. First Saturday, Rupp game.
Yeah, he has his Here I Am game. And it's funny, I wrote an article today about how I think Robinson's stat line against Wright State is an example of why this team is going to be so elite. And it's because this is our go-to guy, right? You scored 8 points and you won by 1,000,000. And he didn't even play bad. It wasn't like he went 3 for 19 from the field.
You
like
know who they used to say that a lot about?
Who?
Anthony Davis. Oh, he didn't shoot enough, but good Lord, was his team good.
Yeah.
You don't have to be the dude who shoots the most when your team's really, really good.
Yeah. So I'm fully with you on all of that. And yeah, but I think my player of the game, I think that this is going to be a game. I have a weird one, not a weird one, but I think that Kerr Kreese is going to have a great game off the bench. I think he's going to score some. And once again, I'm not saying he's going to lead the team in scoring. You have to think about the minutes. I'm saying maybe he'll give you 9 points, 6 assists, and a couple of rebounds. I think he's going to have a game where we go, man, our depth is just so great.
Yeah.
So I think Kerr has a great game for the Cats. Now, Carson, let's move on and talk a little SEC hoop, because the SEC, for the most part, showed up for the first game. So I believe, did everybody win except for, let's see. Okay. Monday. Yes. So Kentucky blows out Wright State. Tennessee beats Gardner-Webb by 24 points. Nothing much to talk about there. Zakai Ziegler kind of had a bleh game. I think he was like 3 of 10 from the field. Chaz Lanier had a
I'm
solid
telling
game.
you.
Well,
I've been on him before the season. I don't think that's a good fit. I don't think Tennessee's going to be very good this year.
Ziegler's 3 of 10 and 0 of 6 from 3. Hey, buddy, let's stop shooting them. Let's
get to the rim.
Yeah. South Carolina lost to North Florida. I'm just now seeing that. I did not.
Yeah, I saw a lot of South Carolina fans were posting like Michi Johnson videos.
Wow. I did not see that. I was getting ready to make fun of Texas A&M, but now it's going to be a little bit. Man, that's crazy. I did not. That's right there. You can't overlook anybody. You can't overlook any game, because you never know. North Florida is going to end up being the, why am I blanking on the team that beat us last year? You just said it, and I keep doing it.
Oh, UNC Wilmington.
Yes, UNC Wilmington. I literally forget that every 10 seconds. That's going to be that type of game for them. You can't let Bucknell be that game for you, and that's what we're talking about.
Yeah.
So South Carolina loses. Mississippi State blows out West Georgia. Let's see what Hubbard did in that game. 26 points on 10 of 13 shooting. That kid's a stud. Please come to Kentucky. Moving on. Georgia beats Tennessee Tech by 5 points. Georgia is not great. I mean, they're just a mid team.
Mike White's still at Georgia, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then Vandy beat, is that Maryland Eastern? MD? Yeah, it's got to be Maryland, right? Yeah, Maryland Eastern. They beat him 102-63. Nothing of interest there. Missouri loses to Memphis 83-75. Missouri's just another team that I'm just not.
They didn't win a league game last year.
Yeah,
so.
I mean, I think that maybe they'll win 2 this year, but they don't scare me. Florida with a solid win over South Florida in a game where Walter Clayton gets 29 points on 10 of 15 shooting. He's a stud.
That's good to see for Clayton, because he wasn't as efficient last year. So if he can be efficient, he can be one of the best players in the conference.
I agree with you. I think he's great. I'm super high on him. Ole Miss blows out Long Island. Cool.
Yeah.
Alabama blows out UNC Asheville. Cool. Oklahoma blows out Lindenwood. Cool. Nothing really there. Texas loses to Ohio State. Reason that's important is Kentucky plays Ohio State this year in a few games. And it was a weird game, because if you kind of look at the numbers, like now that Trey Johnson freshman kid for Texas he had 29. That kid's a stud.
Yeah.
Well, that's a top 10 pick in the draft. Aaron Bradshaw was not great. He was 1 of 5 from the field, 0 of 2 from 3, 1 rebound, 0 assists, 4 personal fouls, 21 minutes, 2 points. But they find a way to win. I mean, their starters, you get 20 from a starter, 17, and then 6, 2, and 2 from your 5 starters. You find a way to win. That's what matters. He had 6 points on a very inefficient night. Now, the one thing I want to
like he reminds me of the dude from Texas A&M. They both remind me a lot of each other.
Who,
Just,
Wade
if
Taylor?
they're on, they're on.
I'm getting ready to gripe about Wade Taylor right now. I don't know what, like, I don't know why I have a personal beef with Wade Taylor, because I don't. I think, and I just think he's the worst. He's the most overrated player in the SEC by a wide margin. He'll play 25, he just is, he's so inefficient. I mean, look at this stat line. This just kills you. Listen to this. I mean, he was 4 of 15, 4 of 11 from 3. Like, that is terrible for 13 points. I mean, that's just not good. They lose to UCF on the road. I mean, which, whatever, but it's, you see what I'm saying? Like, that's horrible. That is inefficient. He is inefficient. He is he's the only player on the team, so he shoots the ball like his teams like that never are that good. Now, he'll have a game where he goes for 40, and I promise you it'll be against us. Promise you. But he'll have a game where he goes for 40 on 19 of 20 shooting and 16 of 17 from 3. That's going to happen. You just got to hope it ain't against you, because when he does that, they're tough to beat. When he doesn't do that, they're not that good. So that's the SEC there.
11 of them were 3-pointers. That's crazy. Yeah. How about trying to get to the rim?
Rest of the SEC, LSU beats UL Monroe 95-60. Who cares? Arkansas beats Lipscomb 76-60. That is a if you look at, let's see how Damian Collins did for LSU, and then we'll talk.
Did you see Cal's post game? You see that video they put out?
Yeah, I sent it to you.
I know.
Damian Collins had 2 points in 17 minutes. That'll play. So Arkansas wins 76-60. Boogie Flan's good, man. He was a bit inefficient in this game, 7 of 18. Inefficient, but he's good.
Yeah.
I think he can be better than that. To me, it's crazy how he's their dude. He's their guy. I would not have expected that. Obviously, I haven't covered them as much as you and I have covered, because they're not at Kentucky anymore.
But he's the only player on the team that can shoot.
That is true. But I mean, Wagner shooting the ball.
Other than Big Z.
Yeah, Big Z played well. 5 of 6. I'm rooting for
Big
him.
Z.
I'm rooting for him.
I love Big Z.
12 points, 3 rebounds for Big Z. 5 of 6 from the field, 1 of 2 from 3. Adu had a solid game. 4 of 6 from the field, 4 rebounds, 1 assist, 8 points. DJ Wagner 3 of 7. 3 of 7, 2 rebounds, 2 assists, 7 points. Whatever.
DJ Wagner game.
Billy Richmond and Carter Knox combined for 9 points. 1 had 5, 1 had 4. Nothing there. This Arkansas team, I don't think this isn't your answer to this Arkansas team. Now, I will tell you this. I think one of the more impressive wins was Auburn's win. And the reason I say that is because Vermont is a team I saw all day on Twitter. I almost put money on Vermont money line. Like, I wanted to put $5. It was like plus.
Andrew's been on a heater, if y'all don't know, too.
That is not true. But I saw all day how good Vermont is. And John Rossi, and this has like a 15-2 NCAA tournament kind of feel. You know what I mean? Vermont had played a game already. I just had a weird feeling they were going to beat Auburn. I don't know why. Boy, was I wrong, because Auburn won 94-43. I think that was one of the more I think Auburn and Kentucky were the two most, two of the more impressive wins in the SEC. Alabama's win's impressive, but that's kind of expected.
I'd say looking just eye test right now on teams, I'd say your 1, 2, and 3 are Alabama, Auburn, Kentucky.
Yeah,
at this moment of time,
I think Texas A&M is awful. I think they're gonna. The fact that they're 13. Now, I will. What did I say? I said UCF money line on that one.
You did. You did.
I did call that one. I think Texas A&M is not they're not a great basketball team. I think that Tennessee is overrated. I think Florida's really good. I think
I would put Florida ahead of Tennessee, Texas, and Texas A&M.
I would as well. To me, I
maybe
think
even
the
Arkansas.
best teams in this conference are Auburn, Alabama, not in any order. Auburn, Alabama, Kentucky. I think Florida and Arkansas, those 5 teams. I think Arkansas is going to hit their stride. I think Tennessee's overrated. Tennessee and A&M, I think, are overrated. Texas,
they just don't have enough scoring. I don't think Tennessee or A&M have enough scoring. And Tennessee needs a guy like Connect, and they don't have one of those guys. And A&M, when Wade Taylor's on, they'll win, but when he's not, they won't.
Yeah. So that is my take on the SEC right now. And we'll dive more into this when we get some more serious games under everybody's belt. Like, Kentucky plays Duke. I know Auburn plays Houston. There's some good. Let's see if we got any other good SEC.
Tennessee plays Louisville on Saturday.
Hope both plays Louisville. Hope both teams lose. That is funny. I've never trying to see if we got any like good games. Not really. Let's check out this Saturday. But we're gonna find out more about the SEC over the next few weeks. So, Carson, any other thoughts before we call it a day?
That's all I got. Excited that it's basketball season. It's finally here.
Me too. It's definitely a lot more fun to talk about. I'll tell you that for sure.
Yeah.
I'm with you. That's going to do it for today's episode. If you haven't already hit that subscribe button, that helps the show a ton. We really appreciate y'all doing that.
2K.
Do what? Oh, yeah.
2K.
I was like, I had no idea what you said. Yes. Help us get there. We just hit 1,800. We'd love to get to 2K soon. Really appreciate y'all's help there. Everyone have a great weekend. We got a big Thursday night football game tonight. Bengals Ravens can be a fun one. Lots of money to be made. Lots of wings to be eaten. Lots of Sprites to be drank. So everyone enjoy their Thursday. And we'll see y'all next time right here on the Wildcats Today podcast.